stand before you today in the firmest affirmation that yes, people become policemen because they like the power. Now, I'm sure my opponent is going to say power connotates something that is negative, but I beg to differ. Just because you're powerful doesn't necessarily mean you're power crazy or hungry. All policemen can't be like Hitler. That's definitely not what I'm saying. Just because people want to become policemen and protect our environment, our society, and our world, that makes them powerful. That gives them power. The reason they want to become powerful is because they can do a lot with their power. Just because people want to become policemen and want power doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's not like they're trying to become the mayor of the city or run our country or run the world. In fact, all they want to do is protect us. Policemen want to protect us. How can they do that? By gaining power. People become policemen to gain the power to protect us. Now, that might not be stated specifically in the resolution. It says simply, people become policemen to gain power because they like the power. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. If you want the power, you take the power. Become a policeman. I'm not saying we don't have alternatives to gaining power. Of course we do. But by becoming a policeman, you are gaining power in a good sense. You are ensuring that the power will be used correctly. The power you're gaining as a policeman will help protect our society. You are saving lives on a daily basis. You are ensuring that the American government stays intact, that you keep the people following the rules of society, following all the laws. People can become policemen to like the power. That's not a bad thing. In fact, I stand on the affirmation for the sole reason that power connotates good. I'm not saying you should go power hungry. By no means should you be power crazy. But by gaining that power, you are doing so much good for America, if not for the world. Any policeman anywhere in this entire world has power. But the way they use the power is how they gain their own benefits. And they are gaining benefits by protecting all of you, all of us. Thank you.
Power. Now when we think of it, we think of dictators. But honestly, what is power? It's a word in the resolution that has yet to be defined. And I say power is the sense or the ability to control those around you. Now, do you honestly believe that men and women join the police force because they want to have power over the people in their neighborhoods? Do you believe that they want people in these neighborhoods to follow their rules exactly? No. First of all, we have to understand that the police do not create any rules themselves. They're only enforcing them. So they're not exerting any of their own power on the people, they're exerting the power of the government. So here we can see that people do not exert their own power and they wouldn't join the police force to gain power. Next, we have to understand the idea that the police force is not an individual thing. Men and women work together. So if you were to want power, why would you work in such a team-like environment? If you were to want power for yourself, why would you work with other men and women who have the same role as you do? And next, it's a sad fact, but when you imagine the police force, tell me, what do you imagine? We think of old men with big pot bellies and going after donuts and coffee. Is this the image of power that we have in our minds? No. If someone truly wanted power, they would find a job that would grant them this power. They would become politicians. They would go into a field where they're the only person who can control everything around them. Instead, I provide you with this alternative. People join the police force because they are dedicated to what they have around them, because they want to preserve the neighborhoods in which they have grown up. They want to make sure that their children and the children of their friends and family are able to live in an environment where they don't have to fear for their lives. So now, I want you to ask yourself, do you think that men and women actually join the police force because they want power? I say not, and I urge a strong vote in the negation. Thank you.
Okay, so you said that your alternative was that people join the police force because they're dedicated to their society. Isn't dedication a form of power?
Not necessarily. As you stated in your opening statement, police officers have the desire to protect and serve.
Exactly.
And so if they have this desire to protect and serve, they're actually choosing to serve the people. And that is, in a sense, giving up power. By choosing to be a servant of the people, they actually give up their power and follow the will of the people and follow the will of the government.
You think by protecting our society and by, you bluntly put it as fat people running after donuts and coffee. The way I see it personally is that they're not running after coffee and donuts, as you said, but instead they're running after us to protect us. And no, maybe they don't make their own rules because they don't have that right. Politicians do. Maybe they don't make their own rules, but they enforce the rules we already have, which is of course a good thing. Yes.
Okay, so question for litigation. You talk a lot about police officers enforcing laws, protecting the neighborhoods, and preserving all this. But wouldn't you agree without any power you can't do this efficiently?
But when police officers join the force, it's not because they want this power. It's not because they want to control the neighborhoods and they want to control the people in the neighborhoods. Instead, they wish to serve them. And it's in the job description, to protect and to serve. So if they were to say go after power, then why would they pick a job where they're serving
people? To protect and serve is to show power. You show the power to take that step, take that incentive to become a police officer and do good for society.
But power
You're taking
has been
a step into
defined
power.
As the ability to control the people around
That's how you defined it. I define power as power. Okay, if power.
You had never defined power.
I'm
so
defining it right now. If you let me speak. So power is something where if we're taking your definition of serving other people, then fine. Then this is power. But you're not controlling other people.
So you concede to my definition of power, and therefore the police force don't actually have the same power of the people. They're not manipulating them.
I never said anything. Now you're putting words in my mouth. I never said anything about manipulation.
I'm
saying by the police, but
between power and the police force.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Is it not true that the government serves the people by the power vested in them?
Yes, this is the power given to them to create laws. Now tell me, do police officers have the ability to create laws?
No, but they enforce laws, which is almost exactly the same thing, right? What's the point of having law if you have no one to enforce them, as you do with the police officers, who have power vested in them?
But enforcing a law is not the same thing as using power.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Without police officers having any power, don't we stand to live in a corrupt society where nothing gets accomplished?
Absolutely. Thank you.
If I may, the resolution states nothing about whether or not police officers have power or not. The resolution states people join the police force because they crave power.
And going off that, okay, it never says crave power. Now you're changing the words.
It's
people
because they want power. Would you not say wanting?
Yes, they want the power to do what? It's how you define what they want to do with their power.
And power is the ability to
manipulate
the
people
people
around.
You
said that. You said
so
that.
So you have to see that if we can simplify the resolution, it says people join the police force because they want the ability to manipulate the people around them.
Question for the negation again. You said, could you clarify how politicians have more power than policemen?
Politicians have the ability to create laws, and through these laws, they can govern when and where people go, what they do, and through this, they can create societal.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so by your arguments, am I able to make the assumption that police are figureheads with no real enforcement qualities?
They do have enforcement qualities, but they don't have the power to create laws.
Okay, but it's not about creating laws. When a person joins a police force, it's not because they feel the need to create a law. They join because they want the power to protect society, not to create a law. That was never specifically stated. They want it because
they want to serve.
What part of your definition of power is included with creating laws?
How does it relate?
Because by creating laws, you're able to control what a person does, which allows you to manipulate.
But where does it say that in the resolution?
I had to define power because you left that blank. Question from the audience?
Are you saying that the sole incentive for police officers to join the armed forces is to have power? Is that the sole incentive?
Yes, but going off his same definition, I'm accepting it. That is the sole reason. They join because they want the power. Now, how do they want to use that power to protect the people? They don't join because they want the power to be another person in society.
If you're to replace the definition for power that we have both accepted, you can see your argument makes no sense.
I'm not
You're
replacing.
saying people join the force.
I'm not. Okay, we can go in circles with the same argument again and again about your definition of power, but I really would like to answer questions. Go ahead.
If policemen don't have any power, then why do they join the police?
Again, I have to reiterate, I did not say that policemen do not have power. I said that policemen do not join the force because they crave this power. They join the force because they have a desire to protect their neighborhood, to protect their friends and family.
Yes, go ahead.
This is for you, the affirmation. How can you make a blanket statement that the only reason a policeman would join the police force is for power?
Well, it's subjective to each person, no matter which way I say it. If I say there's...
So you can't make a blanket statement.
Of course I can. I'm saying it right now. I think the reason that people join the police force is
Didn't you just say it's subjective?
Well, it is, but I'm saying
then
it
how are you
myself.
able to make a blanket statement?
Because it's my statement. Ready? No problem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I remain in the affirmation, and I'd like to point out that I'm not going to go over again in the same circular argument I've been having with this person and his definition of power. Instead, I'll put it out for you in black and white. I am correct for a variety of reasons. Basically, people do join the police force for power. Now, he's trying to redefine power again and again, saying power is a bad thing, power will take you out of control, you should be a politician. But I don't want to be a politician. I'd actually like to be honest. I want to to be a police officer. I want to use that power. And how am I going to use that power? To protect society. In the end, people join the police force to gain power to protect society. That might not be finished in the resolution, but that's how I'm saying it right now. That is exactly how I see it. If you don't have the power as a police officer, then why would you be a police officer? Somebody asked that question to my opponent, and he was unable to answer. He simply went over and over again in a circle. So I'll lay it out clearly. You join the police force for power, and this power is utilized to protect you, to protect yourself, to protect society, your neighborhood. He made the same argument for me. Yes, you are protecting society. When you join the police force, you are gaining that power for good. You are gaining that power to help yourself. And yes, that is the sole reason they join, for power. If you might say they join because they want to protect the community. Okay, how do they protect the community? With power. They join because maybe they lost a loved one and they feel like they owe a great service to the public. Okay, how are you going to owe that great service? Through power. It all comes down to power. Yes, people join the police force because they crave the power. This is not some crazy kind of power where they want to go out and rule the world. As a police officer, they do have restrictions. They do have limitations in which they can't exceed. So therefore, it makes sense that they join for a limited amount of power. But that power in itself is a great benefit to themselves as well as society. Which is why it's obvious, despite the definition of power and such, that I am completely correct in my affirmation that yes, people join the police force because they crave the power and they need it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if it seems to be that I'm going around in circles, but I've been answering the same question over and over again. The resolution doesn't pertain to whether or not police officers have power or not. The resolution pertains to whether or not people join the police force because they crave this power. Now, because my opponent failed to do so, I was forced to define power as being the ability to manipulate your environment. And because of this, we can see that why would a police officer join the force if they simply wanted to manipulate the environment? First of all, as a police officer, they wouldn't have the ability to do so. They're simply enforcing the laws and not creating them. By creating a law, you're able to manipulate your surroundings and manipulate what the people in these surroundings are able to do. Whereas a police officer simply enforces pre-established laws. Now, we also have to understand the fact that although my opponent completely ignored this, a police officer does not work individually. At least a police officer works with a partner, and as a whole, they work in a police department. With a bunch of different people vying for the same power, how would it make sense that you're working with other people? If you truly wanted power, why wouldn't you go after a field where you are simply alone and you're able to control the things around you and change them? Why wouldn't you become a politician? Why wouldn't you join a job in which you are the only person who controls everyone below you? I want you all to understand one thing, and my opponent has said this time and time again. People join armed forces and people join the police force because they have a desire to protect and to serve each and every one of us. They feel it as their duties as Americans to help us live normal lives, to help our lives not be consumed by fear. So when you think that, oh, a person joins the police force because they want power, don't let this cynical definition infect your mind. People who join the police force do this because they truly want to, because they're dedicated to making your lives safe. So, I vote a strong vote for the negation. Thank you.